Hello gang, and welcome back to another guide video for the Long Dark. In this video, we're going to be discussing resource management. The Long Dark is full of resources that you, the survivor, must use to ensure that you stay alive. However, most resources are finite, meaning that you must conserve them properly if you intend to survive for the long haul. Some resources, like cloth, are slowly renewable via beachcombing, and others are not. If you're interested in learning about beachcombing, I've got a card in the upper right for that. Without further ado, let's dive right in. In the Long Dark, you're going to find yourself in many scenarios where you need a fire, be it warming up from the cold, cooking up the latest hunt, or for any other reason. To make a fire in most scenarios, you're going to need matches. Not only are matches used for fire, but they're also used to light torches too. Because fire is such a common, recurring, and paramount need as a survivor, you might find your precious match supply dwindling quickly. Without careful management and conservation, you may find that you are running out of matches very quickly. However, there are ways to mitigate how often and how many you are using. In my long-term planning video, which is another card up there for you, I discussed the differences and considerations you'll need to make to last for the long haul. However, if you're one of those players that finds their fun in the early game and only survives till they get set up, matches probably won't be a problem for you. However, all of us that strive for indefinitely long runs know the risk of running out of matches. To that end, here are some tips and considerations on avoiding that inevitability. First, let's talk about fires. When you go to light a fire, instead of using a match directly to light the fire, instead carry a low condition, or any condition for that matter, torch on you. When you want to light a fire, first light the torch using one match. Then, place or interact with your campfire or stove. Instead of selecting a match to light the fire, select the lit torch. The reason for doing this is quite simple. Until your fire starting skill gets higher, your odds of having a failed fire starting attempt are relatively high. By lighting the torch, you have an item that you can make consecutive, repeated attempts with, until you get a successful light, and you only use one match to accomplish this. If you went about lighting the fire with just a match, you may end up using more than one match to get a successful fire. Another tip for lighting fires, to also conserve matches, is to only light fires as you absolutely need them. This means that it's probably best to have a mag lens and wait until sunny days to do your hunting or for cooking water. By waiting for a sunny day, you have a fully renewable fire starting method provided you have the mag lens. This makes the mag lens one of, if not the best, tools for the higher difficulties where matches become much rarer. Also on the concept of lighting fires only as you need to, make the most of the fire you have for as long as you can. If you spend half a day making water and have enough water for weeks to come, this means you won't need to utilize another potential match to light a fire for a long time to come. For example, you could use one fire utilizing one match to light that fire, and use that one fire to only light, say, a liter or the imperial equivalent of water. However, let's assume you used that one match and instead cooked up 20 liters of water, or whatever the gallon equivalent is, and I don't know the conversion, so roast me in the comments below. I don't care. I use freedom units because I'm in America and never learned any better. Anyway, as you can see, the compound resource acquisition there is much better the longer you use the fire. Another way to take advantage of this is to get as much meat put together that you can from your hunts and cook it all at once instead of as you harvest it. This can be much harder to accomplish than it might sound on the surface though, so only do this if you have a safe place to do that in, or have other ways of surviving until you get that meat cooked up to use it as food. It's oftentimes very sketch to try and harvest an animal without a fire nearby to kind of hold the wolves at bay, but there are situations, whether you're playing that pilgrim or even higher up, where it's totally possible to safely harvest as long as you're warm without using a fire. Regardless of how you intend to accomplish this, making the most out of each fire is very important, as the more you do with each singular fire cuts down on how many matches you end up consuming. In a pinch, it is also possible to light fires with flares or marine flares, similar to how your torch lights a fire. Just light the flare first, and then place or interact with the fire, and select the lit item to use it to light the fire. However, due to their defensive nature, it's probably better to save a flare for a wolf encounter rather than using them for only lighting fires. Of course, as with all resources, there's a trade-off for each use, so if you find yourself in a deep pinch where you're out of matches and it's not a sunny day and you need that fire, go ahead and use the flare to light the fire. As long as you clear out several regions, you should have plenty of matches for a long time to come, no matter your experience mode. If you practice some or all of these tips, you'll be able to stretch your match supply out almost forever. Just be careful to use them wisely and space out the time frame in which you use fires if possible, and also maximize what you do with each fire. Running out of matches was one of my very first and most common run enders until I started to learn how to use them wisely.
I could use this.
After some time, I got comfortable with knowing when and where to use them best. It will take some time, but as you begin to use some of these tips and integrate them into your own runs, you'll find that you have more than enough matches. I hope these tips have been useful for you. As always, I've been Lonelywolf. Stay safe and stay warm out there.